ClarkWoods.com. This is Horribly Off Topic, episode number 240. I'm Chris.
And I'm Steve.
Just gotta get it right out there, right at the top, that's
like,
who we are.
It's not like we ever do that.
We ever do. I gotta say, I gotta tell you, Steve, that's not quite a cough.
No.
Okay.
But
right.
I think
rules.
Leo, I think he might have to email us.
He might have to.
Because of that.
No! Gotta tell you.
That's a Dr. Octagon track.
Oh, I gotta tell you?
Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the interstitials.
Dr. Octagon. Now, any relation to Dr. Octopus?
No.
Okay.
It's off the album Dr. Octagynecologist.
Dr. Octagon, Dr. Octopus, and Octopussy. Any relation between the three of them?
Yes. No. Yes. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it could be.
Yes, they're all brothers and sisters in arms.
Mm. So what I gotta tell you is so we've been talking about whether or not to I'm gonna let a cat out of the bag. We've been talking about whether or not to get the show its own URL, and one of the things that has occurred to me is if it wasn't on ClarkWoods.com, what would the intro be? Like, would be from .com,
From HorriblyOffTopic.com, this is Horribly Off Topic. No. What we could do is not create more work for you to do and create a new URL, because having it be on its own website, you could have the URL, you could get HorriblyOffTopic.com and have it redirect to your website. If that
I could, but part of the allure of giving it its own website is that if I moved it off of, now we're getting really deep in the weeds of Technical Town here. If I got it off
I've always wanted to visit Technical Town.
If I got it off of Squarespace, then and got it to a web host that specializes in
websites.
A website host that specializes in websites. No, a host that specializes in podcast. I could get it so that our feed then showed the entire run of the show and not just the most recent 100 episodes.
You know what I think we should do, or at least you should. I mean, for your website, like instead of like your normal website like stuff, you should just change it to like. Or the early aughts like menu screen for Homestar Runner, where it's just instead of Homestar Runner, it's like your head, and then like you go over the cursor that's like tunes or like it'll be like
books and podcasts,
and you could just do Homestar Runner impression, be like books, games.
Oh, so I got an audio trigger. See, I was thinking,
and then when you do a podcast,
I like that. I like that a lot. I was thinking,
and I could run by his strong bad in the background, going, "Get this fucking duck away from me!"
It's that was what I was thinking of was the visual component, and I think I tried that and did some sort of animated visual cue on a website, probably back in the early aughts, that required a lot of knowledge of either Flash animation or something that I had to study way too long to figure out that nobody cared about. And it was something like a pointer finger going at each, when you hovered over podcast, the finger would point at it. And so what I was thinking you were going to suggest is that there's a picture,
exactly that. Like,
no, but this of me, and my eyeballs move depending on where your cursor goes.
No, this is much more in depth, and I think you should just go to the menu screen from Homestar Runner. Not right now, but when you get home, don't worry, it's not dirty. So if the kids look at it, they weren't going to be like, "Dad, what are you jerking off to today?"
No, they ask me that all the time.
Do they?
No. I don't think they think about. They've never seen it, and I certainly don't think that they think about it as a thing that I do. I hope not.
Well, I mean,
Kaylee's 13. She could be aware that she could be aware of things that she could do with her own body, which then might lead to boys. Probably have things that they do with their body, which might lead to, if she goes down that path, and I pray for her own sake that she doesn't go down that path, it might lead her to think but my dad's a boy, and then go, ah, and I hope she just stops at ah and does not go any further into the exploration of that topic.
Well, I mean,
I hope that she gets horribly off that topic as quickly as
I mean,
possible.
there's like the first time I saw pornography. And this
You're
was-
going to say the first time you saw your dad masturbate.
I've never seen my dad masturbate. Thank
Okay.
God, knock on wood, but that it never happened.
Okay.
I don't know if he still does at the ripe old age of 61, but
You never know.
but yeah, the first time I saw pornography, I was 11, so I was in the sixth grade. So that was
And that was without the internet.
that was without the internet.
Right.
This was like going into my dad's closet and finding
Right.
some tapes.
Is that around the same time my brother found my dad's stuff?
I don't know if it was
Or was that
probably
later?
you didn't find it. It was your brother.
Well, we found it separately.
Oh.
Yeah, we
And I had found magazines before that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it was just naked people. It wasn't like sex happening. So I was just like, oh, nude people, neat.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting a little twinge down there. Neato. I like this.
I think let's see. In trying to place it on the timeline, there were I hung out and worked at the comic book store, and they had trading cards and things that had nudity, right? So I was aware of that, and I feel like once as a kid, when my dad had the subscription to Playboy that I wouldn't really realize he had until much later when I found them all. There was one time when there was a Playboy out. It had been left out, and either the centerfold was there or it was just the cover.
And the pages were sticking together.
I'm not gonna. Anyway, I saw that, but then I can't remember when I found the stash and what possessed me to go looking for the stash. But my brother and I found it separately and never acknowledged to each other that we. I don't know if I want to tell this story.
Just tell it, Chris. You told a story about much more.
No. It's not about the pornography part of the story. It's a much sadder family thing that I don't know that I want to admit.
The way you deal with things, Chris, is to talk about them, and then then we can maybe see the humor in the situation.
Possibly.
All right, let's go for it.
But I'm not gonna fully go there. Anyway, we were gathered with a couple of cousins, male cousins, and John at that point for the first time in front of me admitted that he knew where the stash was, and so something from the stash, or I think he had talked about it with one of the cousins, because the cousin was like, all right, let's see, show it to us. And I was like, show you what? And obviously he and John had talked about it. So the four of us, me and my brother and two of our cousins, sat there and watched a little bit of something. And that was until I started dating Stephanie 3-4 years later.
The only naked woman you had ever seen?
No, was the only time I watched pornography with somebody, and I found it endlessly creepy. Like I feel like it's a solitary action.
It's odd. Like it all depends on what kind of pornography you're watching. I remember your brother bought one called Sex Trek. It was just basically a Star Trek parody, and I mean, it was one of those ones where we were watching it, and we were watching it for the plot because it was just so fucking over the top and terrible. Like it was just like entertaining, and then the sex would happen to be like
Fast forward.
I mean, I don't imagine he did that when
he was alone.
Yeah, but when there was other people around, we didn't necessarily watch the sex scenes together and just let's get all horned up.
I know. I think it has something to do with the on some level the sort of homophobia that's sort of pervasive in our generation. I think that's a very minor part of it, but I think I think that's a part of it. Probably generations today don't have to deal with as much. They probably just deal with the sheer awkwardness of it. But we had sheer awkwardness, and that was not on a foundation. It was a foundation of sheer awkwardness with a nice top layer of, oh my god, I can't possibly watch this in front of other dudes, because what if we all get hard? That will mean we're all gay.
No.
I would say, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I feel like that was a thing. That was part of what made it weird.
I mean,
I got over that, thankfully. You know, I just did a week's worth of illustrations for Pride Month. So I'd like to think that I'm not homophobic at all anymore. But when I was younger, I certainly was like, I can't watch porn with other dudes around. This is weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess... No, I never really. I never really thought of it that way, because like I never, we did watch pornography together, but I never had that in the back of my brain that that if I get an erection, which I probably did, that my friends would be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When Stephanie and I watched it together for the first time, we watched it with another couple. Two friends of ours.
Was it like a funny one, or was it like something just that somebody had laying around?
Well, we were over at the dude of the other couple's house over like a summer or spring break or something, and it was what he had.
It was on like VHS.
Yeah, it was VHS. What he had around. Stephanie had never seen one, or claimed to have never seen one. Pretty sure she wasn't lying. So they wanted to show her, and so it was the four of us sitting there, and I think that in that case there was an awkwardness where I was like, they were a bit wilder than we were, and I was a little afraid that the horniness prompted by the pornography might prompt them to suggest something that I was not at all comfortable with.
Well, even if they did suggest something, Chris, all you had to say was, "Nah, that's not something that I'm interested in."
I'm not really good at saying no. I'm not.
All right.
Would
Chris,
you like to provide a counterpoint?
I mean, you have successfully avoided buying my PlayStation for 3 weeks now.
Successfully.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have not, like, it is still in my spare room.
It's still sitting right there next to me, looking at me every time I come into this room.
Right. But like, and like I said, Chris, you don't have to buy it. I was just offering it because you were very curious about the Spider-Man game, which is a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Yes. Yep. And Mortal Kombat.
And Mortal Kombat.
Which is not, I don't think it's exclusive. I think
But yeah, I mean, I imagine it's better on the PS4 as opposed to the Switch.
Yeah. Or is it on the Xbox? I don't know.
It is.
And the Star Wars Battlefront games, which I tried when you had those. I've tried them with you guys, and I couldn't figure them out. I mean, that's one of the other things that it comes down to when I think about video games. So yes, I guess I have said no there. Is I still have just never fully figured out how to play a game that is not either a side scroller or an up and down scroller. Like a free 3D world to walk around, even when it's you
never even played Super Mario 64?
I tried. I had a friend who had the N64, and I remember going over there and I was completely bewildered. I was like, I can go this direction too. It didn't make any sense to me.
When you're walking around real life, are you like, oh my god, this isn't a two-dimensional plane?
I'm kind of.
What am I doing? I can't walk that way.
But I don't need a game controller to move myself around.
Yeah, but like it also has a camera, so you can move. Like
that's the additional that is even more confusing.
Yeah, the camera is your fucking head, Chris. You spin it around to look around which way you can go.
What I'm saying is, okay. Let's go back in the video game. Let's have Chris's therapy corner, but about video games. I mean, let's really unpack this.
All right,
because E3 was this week.
Yeah, we'll make it
time
sort of video game related.
Had to take a drink because I gotta get prepared. So,
Oh, wait. Oh, this isn't the Nintendo Direct, and we're not talking about a Switch game.
I see what you did there.
That's what they do right before they start the video. They're like,
and they actually snap, or they do the
they do the Switch noise
Switch
while the person is snapping, and they I don't know if they actually snap. They probably do this, and they add the snap noise.
Got it.
Those were a couple of good snaps.
Those are some damn good snaps. We should isolate those and just put them in the show randomly if I want to exert more effort.
I don't want to do another one. Go fuck it up.
So if we go way back, and did I just write about this in a chapter the other day or something? It came up. If we go way back to my video game origins, I grew up with Intellivision.
Right.
With an Intellivision. And
which had
so
that amazing joystick. Had the number pad on it?
It had a number pad. It looked like a phone. It looked like, you know what it fucking looked like?
What did it look like, Chris?
Not quite, but almost. You ever see the iPhone introduction video where Steve Jobs is talking? Like he's
I do not have as much of a hard on for Apple and their products than you do. So no, I had to.
Well, so in my corners, and especially because I worked at the Apple store for a while, this was
I mean, I don't know if you had the hard on because you also like you were dual screening it. You had your favorite furries.
I'm not into furry things.
Prancing around.
No, you should have just stuck with you had your favorite
yiffing videos, and you had Steve Jobs up.
No, so I watched it at the time. I had heard, I had an iPod that I loved, and I loved iTunes. I don't know if I had a Mac yet. I think I was still on PC, but I was obsessed with Macs.
You were obsessed with what's his butt, Jason Long, and not John Hodgman. Or Justin Long, whatever the fuck.
Justin Long. The thing about those commercials was, no, I liked John Hodgman.
John Hodgman was the funnier of the two.
He was the funnier
and he still is. I
absolutely 100% agree. I knew Justin Long from a show called Ed, which I was super into at the time or just before then. And he was fine on that.
Egg?
Ed.
Oh. There should be a show called Egg.
But we're getting horribly off.
Let's add another thing to your list of things to do. Can you write a pilot script for a show called Egg?
For a show called Egg.
I'll leave it up to you what it's about.
Okay. Oh yeah. You're all up to me. We can't brainstorm it right now.
No, we're not brainstorming anything.
Okay.
I want you next week to give me. Let's make it
an assignment.
Let's make it an hour. So give me 45 pages.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. A show called Egg, 45 pages. So this is like a 42-minute commercials plus commercials.
Yeah, I mean I want 45 so we have something to cut.
Got. You want 45? So it's going to be like a 22-minute thing.
No. So we have 3 minutes to play around with if it's not working.
Got it. All right. Show called Egg. Anyway,
you don't actually have to do this, Chris. This is entirely a joke. I'm saying this very loud right now. Do not write this thing that I just instructed you to write.
I was looking forward to maybe having some fun this week, but some more work would be just the ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so a show called Egg.
Can that be the show title?
I think it might be. All right, so I gotta get us off of Ed and
back to
Apple, and then back to video games. All right, so the initial iPhone introduction, I've watched
2007.
Yeah, I've watched a bunch of times. It was from Macworld in January 2007, and he's in introducing it, he shows some dummy mock-ups of what it might look like, and one of them
was in a television controller.
Well, one of them was a sort of a bunch of them were plays on like a phone with a scroll wheel, and but that's basically what an Intellivision controller was a phone.
Yeah, it was
with a scroll wheel.
Yeah.
But that was my first video game, and it was 2 controllers, no expanding beyond that. And as people who know me have heard before, and people who've listened to the show for a long time before have probably heard, the way that video games worked in our house is that my dad and my brother would sit down on the floor with the Intellivision and the 2 controllers, and they would toss the instructions back to me. And when they ran into a problem, they'd ask me, how did you do this? And by the time I finally got to play the game, I knew in theory how to play, and in practice just sucked. And then
so
they'd
reading
have
about something, Chris, doesn't make you good at it. Like me watching dozens of pinball videos doesn't make me good at playing.
Right. I thought you were going to say you watching dozens of pornos doesn't make you good at sex.
No, definitely not. But yeah, but rules knowledge does help. Like, when I'm playing a pinball machine and I know what I need to do to score more points, that helps. And so if I'm like on a rare occasion accurate with my shots, I can actually do the things that I need to do. Like actually last night we played the league, and one of the games we were playing was Heavy Metal Meltdown, which is not a very common game.
Yeah.
But that's a game where you can steal locks. Mm-hmm. So
steal locks from the game or from
other players.
Oh, from the other players.
So if someone has you can lock up to, I think it's up to 4 or 5 balls in this like thing in the middle
of
the
chamber
in the middle of the play field. So you shoot it up a ramp and it goes into this little I don't want to say trough, but it's kind of a trough.
Okay.
And then the person before me had left 4 balls in there, and so multi-ball in that game is the way to score a shit ton of points.
Right.
And like the way to get it was to basically hit the skill shot. So I'm like, all right, it's my turn. And I'm just like, I took a couple of like, I held back, and I did not quite make it all the way up the plunger lane. And then I think it was the 3rd or 4th time I got it right in there, and then I got the multi-ball, and I ended up winning that game.
All right.
So because I got like 2.5 million, and the highest score behind me was like 800,000.
Oh wow. Yeah. So in that case, some book learning did you right.
Yeah. So or not necessarily that, but just like awareness, like looking at what's going on. If I had done a hard plunge, I would not have gotten it in that little, because you can get it in that like the place to start the multi-ball anyways.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not as easy when it's not from the upper play field or the upper part of the play field. So getting the skill shot, which netted me 50,000 points right out of the gate, also got me the multi-ball.
Got it.
It was like meow, 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 meow.
Just like
this awesome like MIDI guitar in the fucking game, because it was like from the late 80s.
Oh, that's the prime time for MIDI guitar.
I was like, come on, Bally, with your fucking pinball machine rock. It's like the machines that Chuck has. That's where we played last night. Are very rock centric.
Yeah,
they have like, he has Heavy Metal Meltdown, and he has Ted Nugent had a pinball machine, so he has Nugent. He has
the Nuge.
He has the GNR machine. He has Aerosmith, Iron Maiden, Kiss, Metallica, AC/DC.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Metallica one.
Metallica one's basically
what era of Metallica?
It's a newer machine. So,
okay, all right.
So it's all eras.
Got it. Well, like with the I can picture when you say the Kiss one. There is
no. There's 2 kisses. There's there's 2 kisses.
There's 2 kisses.
There's a newer Kiss, which was made, I think, about 5 years ago, and then there's
got it. So I'm imagining the older one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that makes sense. I was gonna say with some of those, it's like, well, I can picture when they would have made that machine in a sort of classic sense, but if they're talking newer ones, then okay. So if you're playing the Metallica one or the newer Kiss one, do you get to hear their music?
Yeah, you get to hear "Lick It Up."
Lick It Up.
I mean that's
the one without the makeup.
Well, apparently the way you're supposed to play it is you're supposed to play Deuce first, which is a song that I'm not as familiar with and I don't necessarily like as much, but it's better for scoring.
Okay.
If you play and finish that song first before you do "Lick It Up."
Interesting.
Which is, I think, a better song.
Right.
And I don't understand it, but Strutter isn't in the game, or as far as I know. It might be in a wizard mode.
Strutter.
It was one of those songs that I played a bunch in Guitar Hero when it first came out.
Okay.
And so, or it might have been Guitar Hero 2. I don't even fucking remember. I think it was 2. But like that, I think that game we played a fuck ton. Like when it came out. So like that song, and that was one of the first songs, like in the first like the Easy Bank. And so we played the hell out of those ones.
This will surprise nobody probably, and it's skipping way ahead in my video game odyssey. But when we had the Wii, I was Christmas, I was psyched to get the Wii, and I went ahead and I wanted to get Rock Band. I'd heard a lot about Rock Band. I think it was Rock Band 3 that was out at the time, and I really just wanted it for the singing part. I did go out and buy the keytar, but I used it maybe for when Rock Band 3 came out. That was the new peripheral.
Okay.
So I think what they were banking on is everyone who wanted to play Rock Band had bought the big kit with Rock Band 1 or Rock Band 2, and they had their Guitar Hero stuff hanging around. But what did they not have? They didn't have a keyboard. And Rock Band 3.
She'll let you walk the streets beside her.
And aside from
that was some Strutter right there.
See, yeah, no, I've never heard it. But I got that game just to sing. So I never learned and never got good at playing guitar. And the few times that I tried, it just was too much coordination.
As far as I also liked the singing when Rock Band came around. When it was just Guitar Hero, it was only guitar, and then like you could do I think rhythm guitar in like the second one, and then I think you could do bass in the second one, but like I was never good at the bass.
Yeah.
Because I have to hear what I'm playing, like, or I have to know what I'm playing, and like I'm even in my older years, like I'm kind of deaf into low tones.
Oh, okay.
So like playing,
so bass is not going to be a thing for you.
Yeah. So I wasn't great at it. And drums, I can't figure out how to do something with my foot and my hands.
And two different things with your hands sometimes. Yeah, I can't. I have a very hard time.
Guitar was pretty good. Like I actually, like when we would have our own little personal tournaments, like, I would often be in the tops. Except for, I remember we had a tournament up at another John's summer place.
Yeah.
Although it was in November.
Was there rain?
No.
Was it cold?
Yes, it was. We had a tournament and I drank a lot of fucking Jägermeister and made it to the semifinals and had
pretty good.
This guy that was there, which we we affectionately called my taints on expert guy. Because he was like, "Oh, we're not going to play it on hard or expert." And I was like, "Oh, you fucking taints on expert." Under my breath.
Yeah. Never heard you.
And he's the one, of course, that beat me. And like, so we unfortunately, we were in the same bracket.
Okay.
So we ended up playing each other in the semifinals and not the actual finals. Because I think the finals was sort of anticlimactic,
right,
because of that, because like like the person that won the other side I actually sort of because we were playing on hard once he and I started playing each other, and I held my own, but I choked at the last minute.
That's like when Hulk Hogan faces Andre the Giant, and it's not even the final round of the fucking tournament in what was that, WrestleMania 4? That was bullshit.
He's a real American.
Oh, I've got to
Andre wasn't. He was French.
No, yeah. He was not American at all.
No.
When you... So back to the topic of... Well, we didn't leave the topic, but the topic of
video
games.
We're still talking about video games,
coordination. When asked to do the pat your belly and rub your... Wait, which one do you do?
You pat your head, rub your belly.
Was that something that you could do as a kid?
I'd have to like do it slowly and have
Yeah.
to be very deliberate about it.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever got good at that, even as an adult. And I feel like that ties into the video game thing and my lack of ability to separate the two sides of my body. Part of why I suck at sports and like, but the NES controller, right? So we went from an Intellivision to an
I have
NES.
one right there. Do you want to hold it?
Oh, just for shits and giggles.
It has a 1993 sticker on it.
Oh God, I love this thing. Has there ever been a better video game controller?
Yes, the Super Nintendo
think
controller.
not. No, what? No, too complicated.
Well, it definitely is. It feels nicer in your hands than
Yes.
that because it's
Yeah,
that one's a box.
If you could give me the Super Nintendo controller without the buttons on top, then you might be able to sway me.
You don't have to use the buttons on top.
No, but they're there, and that's the problem with every controller beyond this one that I'm holding in my hands, the NES controller. That's the problem with me is that I knew what all of these buttons did. Right, I could look up and be like, all right, so I know what B does, I know what A does, I know what select and start do. I'm good, right? And I have enough short-term memory to remember what the hell those things do. But
then like they do different things
Then
in different games, Chris.
yeah, which is why it took me a long time to warm up to each new game, but I could do it. But you add an extra 4 buttons on
like
the
the PlayStation.
SNES controller, and then you start to get to these things where there's not one joystick but 2. And remember, I never had an Atari, so I never learned how to use a fucking joystick. I pick up one of these fucking things starting with the N64, and that one just had one, right?
Well, it had like the D-pad on, so you could hold it like
Yeah.
this with like a D-pad over here, and then like the buttons over here.
And then
you
had
could also hold it in the middle, and it had the
Right. So
the analog stick, which meant you could push it slightly forward, and
Right.
the character would move a little bit, or tiptoe, or do whatever.
Yeah.
But if you push it all the way, your character would move fast.
Got it. And so I was able. So I
So
played.
you wouldn't have to hold the B button down to run anymore. You could just like how much
But
force
I
you're putting.
liked holding the B button down. I'm gonna write that Chris liked holding the B button down. I liked the simplicity of the controller. So the NES was about as complicated as I could handle. And
What
and
about
I
the
think-
Genesis with the 3 buttons? Is that too much?
I had a friend who had a Genesis. John, my brother John, had the Genesis eventually, but he kept it in his room, and so
Yeah, he was playing Night Trap and
yeah.
on
So
a
I mean, I
Sega
played.
CD.
Yeah, I mean, I played Night Trap. I played a couple of those things. I was okay enough with it, and even though I was disparaging the SNES controller, I can never remember whether John bought the SNES himself or whether the family bought the SNES. But by the time that was in the house, it wasn't. It felt like it wasn't long before I was heading off to college.
I mean, that came out in 91. And I think your brother. I think your brother got.
Did it take that long for us to get an SNES?
I got mine like that Christmas. I think the Christmas after it came out.
Okay.
So I think your brother got it
So maybe
around the same time.
Maybe we did have it around. Okay, so maybe I had more exposure to SNES than I think I did. But by the time N64 came out, I was heading off to college, and
that time frame checks out because that came out in 96.
yeah, and that is what broke me. So I remember going to a friend's house, yet another John. Not any of the Johns we've mentioned heretofore on the podcast, but yet another John. Mm-hmm. And he had, so this must have been summer between a year in college. So
Summer
maybe,
lovin' and 64.
and he let me try it. And so maybe this is summer between freshman and sophomore year of college. And it's been, like a year or so since he and I saw each other. We graduated together. And so we're hanging out, and he's like, "Oh, come on over, and I'll show you my new N64." Does that check out? Like summer of '96? Would it have been out? Or was it later?
I think it might have been later.
Okay, so maybe it's the next year. At any rate, he shows me this game, and I can't. I'm like, wait, you can go. You can go more than just side to side. And I went off to college, and at college somebody brought their old NES, and that's all we had in the house. And we knew it was retro, but we enjoyed it. We played all the old
I don't
games.
think it was that retro back then. I mean, it was only like
Well,
it was less than 10, or it was about 10 years old.
Okay, but
And none of us got it like in 1985 or 86 when it came out. We all got it in 1989.
I'm saying that was by the time that happened. So maybe there's a couple of years there where I don't remember playing video games at all, because it was my senior year of college that somebody brought an NES into our townhouse, and so that's like 15 years, and since we had it, and so it felt a little nostalgic. But I did in the early years of, and I could talk about this moment that I had last night. In the early years of me having an apartment. And my brother moving out to California, he left his N64 behind and encouraged me to take it at one point. And so Stephanie and I had the N64 in our house, and I learned and got pretty good at, I think it was WrestleMania 2000. So there
what,
was
2000?
So there were certain games I could figure out. There was that, and there was a Rogue Squadron game that I mostly figured out, except for certain levels where more of the joysticks were involved, and I would end up flying off the screen and not be able to ever get myself back, or some shit like that. Like it just was like, I don't know.
Who taught you how to fly?
And then then I was totally out. And by that point, there was
you didn't have Mario?
GameCube, and didn't have Mario.
Your brother didn't have Mario? I thought it came with it.
If he did, I didn't play it. Yeah.
You know, the flagship game for the fucking system. Why would you play that one?
No. Well, probably because I'd seen somebody play it, and I was like, I don't understand this. Mario is meant to go side to side. That's it.
Telling me no lies.
Knocking me out.
Brian hates AC/DC.
It's been a long time since he wrote in. Maybe we should just keep singing or keep talking about it until he just gets so mad he has to write us.
Well, we're not singing it in the voice of AC/DC, so it's probably not as annoying.
Oh, okay. All right. What did you knock me out with, though?
Good big balls.
No, it was your American Thighs.
They should make a sequel to American Pie called American Thighs. Oh, that would be the porno sequel.
Oh, I wonder if that exists.
Write the script for that.
All right.
Well, you're half naked and you fucked a pie.
Write the script to American Thighs script.
And then he's like, oh, she walks in on him fucking the pie. And then she's like, oh, fuck me like a pie.
Oh, fuck me like one of your French pies.
The story fucks itself.
No GameCube, that wasn't around. I had a friend, my friend John, who's probably the John that I've talked about the most of the my brother Johns. Mm-hmm. He had a Dreamcast that he tried to get me interested in.
I never liked the Dreamcast controller. I actually have your brother's. It's in the closet.
Oh yeah,
he gave it to me a long time ago.
That one didn't make any sense to me, but he was super into it, and I feel like
there's some great games for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I feel like that was the last one that he was.
Shenmue was great.
Super into
Phantasy Star Online. That was like when online play started to become a thing, like beyond the PC realm.
But I was playing computer games.
I said beyond this PC realm, Chris.
I started that but thought before you finished your sentence. So yes, you did say that. Around that time, I was playing NBA Live and Madden on my PC. So I had a controller, and it was probably,
I imagine, similar to a PlayStation controller.
I don't know. I feel like it did not have. No, I guess it must have had the two fucking joysticks. But I found
fucking joysticks.
I found a way most of the time to play. Well, no, I guess I did finally figure out how to fucking do some shit with the two joysticks. I don't know. It's too.
What you're saying basically, Chris,
It's too complicated.
is that you don't adapt well.
Oh, that's for fucking sure. That could be a whole
New things scare you,
new things do scare me.
so you just have to, with arms wide open.
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Oh, God, now it's in my fucking head. Oh, I've never hated a band more than I've hated fucking Creed. Ugh.
Just
God.
embrace the new sound and the new things, Chris. Don't be such a sort of like cultural and video gamey-al Luddite.
Well, so that's what this sort of this odyssey of me saying no to your PlayStation has kind of been about. Is I look at it and I'm like, that would be awesome to have my house, and Steve is making me a really good deal, and why am I saying no? And then I'll leave.
And then you'll talk yourself out of it again.
And I'll be like, all right, so I would like to play Spider-Man, and
which you'll probably, I think you have to use all the buttons that are on that controller to do things.
Why do you need to use all those buttons? You should only need to use like 2 of those buttons and,
so,
and
like
a control pad.
There's probably one that's for jumping, one that's for attacking, one that's for using your web to swing around, one that's for fucking doing this other thing, one to lock on a target, one to switch the target that you're locking onto.
All right, I'm gonna back up there. Okay, and I'm gonna grant you this: 2 buttons is too few. TOO.
One to access your menu.
I will grant you this: for Spider-Man, I need a joystick to move him around, right?
You need a camera to look around.
Now, if it were just a side
which
scroll,
would be the other joystick. It's not going to be a fucking six.
If it were just a side scroller, I could use my up button to jump, right?
Up for jumping is only good for fighting games. Jumping, like, you need a button to jump if you're playing an action game. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, all right, fine. I need a button to jump, because even Mario needs a button to jump, right? So I need a button to jump. I need a button to attack, right? Whatever attack might mean.
Sometimes there's a punch and a kick button.
Yeah.
Or like another stronger attack, like a fighting.
Yeah, but you could, if you have an attack button and you press or hold the up or the down while you're hitting the attack, that can help direct, like, okay, so if I hold up while I'm hitting the attack button, that should be a punch. And if I hold down, that's like a kick. Because, 2 parts of my body.
Sometimes there's a button for like a quick action you need to do that needs to be separate from like the other attack buttons. So like, let's just say somebody's about to come at you and say, it's a Spider-Man game. I haven't played it yet. I have it, but I haven't played it yet. But like, as a spider sense, you'd be like, oh, there's a bullet fucking about to come flying at me. I push the fucking action button and then I get out of the way of it.
Shouldn't you just press the button to duck or something?
It's not Dragon's Lair.
Right. You need a
button to duck. Like, what if it's like coming? Like, what if somebody's about to trip you? Do you have to push up every time that happens? Or someone's about to punch you? Do you have to dodge left or right? Instead, you have one button that does all those things, and making it less complicated.
Can they make it less complicated? Could they do that for me?
I don't know. I haven't looked. You want to look at the manual? Read up on it.
Right. As a side,
you want to go I'll get the manual and we'll talk about what every single button does.
I would love that, but I'm only half kidding. But there's as a side thing this week. So I've been trying to be more careful about where I spend time online, because I know that my tendency since the very beginning of online. Wanted to make that a phrase. Since the very beginning of my time on the internet, I have spent too much time on the internet, and so I try to be more cognizant of where I spend time. So there is this. Are you familiar with Discord, the sort of chat program?
Yeah, I think the One Piece podcast has a Discord.
Okay, but so you're familiar with the general idea. It's a chat room / bulletin board, whatever. So I use a service called World Anvil to run the sort of behind the scenes universe, all the characters of my shared short stories.
So it's like, so you can bang it into a sword.
Yes, I can bang the world into a sword.
It's World Anvil, right? So you just hit, like, your story is the sword that you're creating, right?
Yeah. So I can bang the world into a sword, and I enjoy the people there. I enjoy the product. I am more and more wanting my whole Clarkwoods website to kind of be World Anvil, which is like an ulterior motive of me getting the podcast its own site, is that then I can maybe look at whether Clarkwoods can just be on World Anvil, and so that's how much I like it, right? So they have a Discord, and I haven't been going there regularly. And I was like, why am I not going there regularly? And then I went back and I remembered why. And it's that they have so many fucking different chat rooms that I'm like, how does anybody keep up with this shit? Like, I can't keep up with it. And so I close it and I go away, even though I know the people who are there are all awesome. And if somebody, probably me, took the time to explain to me what the hell I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to keep on top of the fact that there's like 15 or 20 different rooms I could go into.
I think you're probably making Becky's head explode right now.
Does she know a lot about Discord?
No, she doesn't necessarily. I don't know if she knows anything about Discord. This is not a discussion we've ever had, but like, just your need to be a part of this community that you don't necessarily have to be.
I don't have to be, but when I've gone on there and when I've been able to get past I should go back and state I don't feel any obligation to be there. That's part of why I actually keep trying to go back, is that when I've gone back and I've gotten past my awkwardness, past this thing we've been talking about, my dislike of the new, I found it super useful, and I found way more people there that I have fun talking to than
did you go ASL?
Twitter or no, I did not do ASL, which is American Sign Language, but also it means an entirely different thing for those. But of
like
us who
for those of us, that grew up with AOL Instant Messenger, go in the chat room ASL, and you were like 19 male Massachusetts. Bradford.
I did. I sometimes I made it up to fuck with other people in the room. That was a thing at our college. We had one room on campus the first semester that there was internet there that had internet service. And so there were a lot of us who were lonely trying to find somebody online. And
you were trying to find somebody online at the college.
No, we were trying to find somebody online just in general.
Oh.
And then we would get bored or heartbroken or sort of discouraged, and we would see one of our friends looking for someone or an acquaintance, and we would log on. We'd look at where they were. We'd log on as a fake somebody, and we'd fuck with them. So we'd know.
So you were fucking catfishing before it was cool.
Yes, but we were all doing it to each other. It was a group thing, and so you went into that room and you kind of knew, I better, kind of keep.
Can that be what the episode title is? Catfishing before it was cool.
Sure. We had a show called Egg, but I think catfishing before it was cool will work. So anyway,
any kids out there that are listening, don't do what we did and try to find. Well, it's weird because I actually, but like it's different if you're going on like a dating site, which I don't think existed.
Not as
it didn't
such.
exist, but like don't go on like any sort of.
Although there was
chat, or maybe it would work. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. No,
it's like people have gone and played MMOs and gotten married, but I don't know if those fucking marriages have lasted.
Yeah, I don't.
But you just have to determine, young people, what do you like to do?
That's a question my therapist asked me this. Well, kind of.
So what do you like to do for fun?
You just asked me that before the show.
What do you do for fun? And and ask yourself that question and then do that. And if you can find somebody with that interest, that you can connect with, that's super cool.
Yeah.
If not, just, like go out and like, but unfortunately there's a lot of introverts out there, which makes it harder. Like that's one of the things. It's weird because I'm part introvert and I'm part extrovert. Like
You're an ambivert.
Is that what they call it?
That was a thing I heard in a conversation in the last couple of weeks, and I was like, I like this. I think that is an interesting term.
In certain situations, I'm very gregarious. Like I'm very like outgoing. Like but initial interactions, I'm very bad at. Like
same here.
Like just like when I first started doing pinball, it was hard for me to just talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Like, because stranger danger. They were all offering me candy and trying to get me to go in their nondescript white vans. And I was like, no, I'm keto.
Can it be called nondescript white vans?
No, I like the other one.
I know. Yeah, so I'll try to go into this Discord server for World Anvil and end up leaving because I don't know where to start. There'll be 50 something unread messages.
So what other places are you trying to avoid on the internet? Like is it like aside from pornography? Because
Oh well, I mean I'm just trying to spend less time on the internet in general unless it's for a specific purpose. So I'm trying not to just go on Facebook and be on Facebook. If I go on Facebook, I'm there to sort of briefly for 10 or 15 minutes check in on my friends and share something, and then I'm off. Same with Twitter. With Instagram, I'll spend a little bit more time. In Pinterest, I'll spend a little bit more time because those things feel like they're feeding into the creative work that I'm doing. But I just try to stay off. And so if I'm going to go to something community-oriented, I want it to be around a subject that, to go back to your point, that I have fun with. So writing or music or movies.
I think just maybe like, I think what's good, and it's unfortunate when I'm like playing a game because usually I have a guide up on my phone, is just to not have your phone around.
Yeah.
It's like, but there's times where my phone's almost dead. I have to put it in the kitchen and plug it in because that's where I put the plug.
Well, I try not to carry my phone around with me a lot. The last
I can't not have it on me. Like,
well, I mean,
there was one day that
around the house I try not to.
I left my phone at home, and I was completely like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have my watch, which can do a lot of what I need in an emergency for my phone to do, but I still carry my phone out of the house. What I'm saying is, when I'm in the house, I will try to not have.
What
my
if you're
phone
in Big Mama's house?
In my pocket. Where is Big Mama's house?
This is not going to be improv, Chris. I made a joke. Let's move on.
I did. I was like, is that a reference I don't get?
It's a movie. It was Martin Lawrence.
Oh, that guy. I try to black him out of my. I did not. Shit. I block him out. Block him out. Block him out. That's that.
It was a very racist slip of the tongue.
It was a very racist slip of the. Ugh, I'm not.
And now that we've talked about it, you can't.
No,
you can't cut it out.
No. I don't know. Martin Lawrence. My roommate was super. That was one of those things. My college roommate was super into Martin Lawrence, and
I don't understand how one gets super into Martin Lawrence.
I don't know. My college roommate thought lots of things were funny that weren't at all funny, and that came up in a Facebook conversation this week,
such as.
Well, he could not get enough of what's the guy who does the telethons?
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. He could not get enough of Jerry Lewis, and I'm talking like
maybe he's French,
not classic Jerry Lewis, but like even modern day. She just loved Jerry Lewis, and he loved
she. Okay.
My roommate.
Okay.
Was it he?
I don't know. You said you had a townhouse, so it could have been.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but so in our townhouse. Most of the 4 years that I was there I was in a double. So there were doubles within.
Whiskey, please, double.
Yeah. So I keep saying no to your thing. I would like to play an Avengers game. That's it. That's what I tried to think of when I was looking at the PS4 and like what it had to offer. It's like what kinds of game, because at a certain point I was like scrolling through their entire website trying to see like what games are available, and there's a ton. And I was like, I can't.
You went to the PlayStation website to figure out what PlayStation games are out?
Well, where else am I supposed to go? I don't know.
GameStop, Amazon, Best Buy, like, you know, just.
I don't know. I haven't.
Then you can look at the prices of them that aren't like the fucking full retail prices and be like, oh, that's a game that I'd be interested in, and it's on fucking sale.
Okay. Well, thank you for learning me that. I went and I was like, oh, so I'd like to play an Avengers game. That would be cool, like a superhero game. I want to play a game where I can beat the shit out of something and rip its head off. So Mortal Kombat. I would like to play a basketball game again. That's not NBA 2K. Because the last time I tried to play,
you should play. I think what was it? NBA Jam.
That was when I had both of those for the Wii.
You had NBA Jam for the Wii.
They re-released it around.
Did it have the bad like voice?
Mm-hmm.
And it was
like classic NBA Jam experience.
So like when it hit, instead of one of the things Dan used to say was that when the guy was going yes, it sounded like Jeff. So Dan would go Jeff.
No, I don't remember if the yes still sounded like Jeff, but
he is heating up.
I do remember that it was frustrating because you either had to play with both the Wii mote and the nunchuck, or you had to plug a controller, like
the classic
classic controller into your Wiimote, and sort of like you'd use the Wiimote to navigate, and then you'd play with the classic controller. And
the
fucking annoying.
The NES Classic and the Super NES Classic have the same port as that, so you can use that to play games on the Wii.
Oh, interesting.
If you have both of them, or if you have a Wii U that you've dumped your Wii onto.
Yeah. I don't know. So there's a couple of games.
Famous last words, dumped your Wii onto.
There's a couple of games I could play, but what I said to you before the show is I don't know when I would, like, when in my life would I play them. I mean, so today...
I think you should just get into like a Musou game, because like there's not much like depth to it.
Yeah.
And it's beating up lots of people forever. So just playing a Musou game, I think would be right up your alley.
Okay. And you just beat people up.
Yeah, I mean, like there's Dynasty Warriors, or like Samurai Warriors, or like there's the One Piece one, there's the Pirate Warriors.
I have a lot of anger to get out.
And then there's the Zelda one, which is Hyrule Warriors, and then there was a Dragon Quest Heroes.
Oh,
Dragon
did I see you play Hyrule Warriors?
Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen you play that one. I was like,
just
this looks cool.
You just basically take on endless hordes of monsters, and then you just hit it's either A or B, or like X or Y or something like that. You just hit the two buttons. Occasionally you can hit one of the trigger buttons to do some special attack or something like that. But there's not much variation.
Like two buttons. This sounds just...
Mostly two buttons.
I like mostly two buttons.
You can do different combinations of those two buttons to do different like combos, but yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would never... a threesome with me would never work out. Like, more than two buttons, I can't.
Are you calling the clit a button?
No comment.
I was hoping that was like the end of the show right there. So E3 happened.
You can find the show. I know. I mean, I can't. It's 58 minutes. Yeah. If I start doing it now, we
can talk about E3 next week. Maybe you can watch some more things besides like Avengers, Square Enix.
Well, I watched it on mute, and it was like
you didn't watch the Final Fantasy VII remake.
No. They need to remake it.
I mean, that's instead of, I mean, they've been talking about remaking that game for the past, I think, 5 years.
Is it a particularly good one?
Well, Final Fantasy VII was basically what brought the JRPG to the mainstream.
And by JRPG, you mean
Japanese role-playing game.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like before that, like Final Fantasy games were popular-ish, like for the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo. Final Fantasy 1, and then Final Fantasy 2, which was actually Final Fantasy 4, and Final Fantasy 3, which was actually Final Fantasy 6. So those were very popular-ish. Things like Chrono Trigger did well. those were good. But then I think lots of people got the PlayStation when it came out.
Right.
And then that was PlayStation pushed that game hard when it came out, and then it was like there was full motion video and controls wise and system wise it was so.
Yeah.
But in the story is fucking bonkers. Like you start off the game as a fucking terrorist.
Oh. Okay. This was pre 2001. Okay.
It's 1997.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this came out like right as I started college, and I was like, but like people were like nutso because it was like this guy with a humongous sword riding a motorcycle, like, and so it just kind of it got over the hump finally, and then now it's more likely that games come out, like like a game that wouldn't normally have come out here.
Yeah,
I mean, people have been pushing Nintendo to bring out Mother 3 for fucking ever, and they're never going to do it. And like every year E3 rolls around, and like there's a glimmer of hope in every Nintendo fan's soul. I mean, hey, every time a Smash Brothers comes out, there's Ness and Lucas in there, and Lucas is from Mother 3, so maybe they'll actually bring it out this time. Nope. Sorry, asshole. You're going to have to just buy, if you really want to support like a legal copy, you're going to have to buy like the Game Boy Advance cart and then buy an English patch for it to play the fucking game.
You know what I think was the pinnacle of video game RPGs? Wizardry. I think that
I don't like I don't agree with you, Chris, and I know you're trying to end the show with that, but like
I thought
it was too complex for the system.
I thought it would get a very much more violent reaction out of you, and then I could just
Wizardry just was like whatever. Like Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, I think was like a perfect like toe in the water, and like so many people had it because it came like they Nintendo thought it was going to do a lot better, but like considering the space in between when Dragon Quest came out in Japan and when Dragon Warrior came out in the United States, I think it was like 4 years. And like Dragon Quest 4, I think was like getting ready to come out when Dragon Warrior came out. And so it was too long in between. Like, I mean, it was a very basic game, and like, I mean, Dragon Warrior 2 and 3, amazing games, but it's just like if they'd come out when the Nintendo came out, or like around that time, then like you had that role playing game, and people were like, "Wow, what the fuck is this? This is brand new." Instead, like Final Fantasy was like a year behind, and that already had a fucking different style. You could actually see your characters attack and whatever. I mean, it wasn't that much of a fucking difference, and you could have more than one enemy on the screen. It was like, sorry. So show notes, blah blah blah, howtoclarkwoods.com, and we'll end it for realsies this time.
Okay, I won't try to say anything that'll make you mad just to get a laugh.
Throw this fucking remote at your head.